Palawan, welcome back. You're still watching It's a Beautiful Day, the Weather HQ segment. Palawan is once again in the global spotlight, recently named the world's best island to visit in 2025 by U.S. News and World Report. Known for its pristine waters, towering limestone cliffs, and rich biodiversity, this latest honor reaffirms the Philippines' last ecological frontier as a top international destination. But with recognition comes greater responsibility. Joining us today via Zoom is Maribel Buñi, Department Head from the Provincial Government of Palawan, to talk about how the island is looking ahead, balancing tourism growth while protecting its natural heritage. Good morning, Maribel. Welcome to It's a Beautiful Day.
Good morning, Miss Anne. Good morning. Indeed, it's a beautiful day.
Miss Maribel, let's dive straight into the conversation. Palawan was just named the world's best island for 2025 by U.S. News and World Report. What does this achievement mean to the provincial government and the people of Palawan?
Well, recognitions like this they make us happy. We are elated by this recognition, considering that one of our top markets, actually our top markets are those coming from Americas. And this is a very good recognition. But as you said earlier, recognitions like this would also entail greater responsibility on the part of stakeholders like us, local government units, plus the businesses.
What role, Ms. Maribel, does the provincial government play in protecting yung natural beauty and appeal of the islands that actually led to this global recognition?
Well, by law, local government units are responsible for regulating the tourism industry. In our case, well, of course, local government units, in the case of municipalities, they do licensing and regulating the tourism industry at the local level. We are the only province in the Philippines that has this SEP law, or Strategic Environmental Plan, for the province of Palawan, which also serves as the framework for sustainable development. And with this hand in hand with the local government units looking into really regulating the tourism industry, we really have to, I think this is one way of protecting our advantage. You know that it's our at advantage, and we are really happy that our creator God has really given us this natural destinations or natural features that we have, these natural resources, and so we are banking on these natural destinations, this sand, beach, etc. To generate arrivals of tourists.
Yes.
There are destinations that are man-made, but sir, you said that you have a business in El Nido. You know what El Nido and how El Nido looks like.
Yes.
And El Nido is like people or tourists are attracted because of its natural
Yes,
beauty.
Miss Maribel, it's the peak of the season now for tourists. It's in full swing. How are you preparing for the expected influx of tourists? Kasi, I mean, sure, every year naman voted si Palawan as one of the best beaches in the world by different publications. So, padami ang turista.
Yes, we coordinate usually with our local government units and other agencies, the national government agencies, because it's really important to assure that our tourists get the best experience when they come to Palawan.
Yes po.
Yes po. So we coordinate with them and make sure that everything is in place.
Do you have a number, Miss Buñi, of how many tourists you're expecting this season?
For our benchmark is 2019. That's pre-pandemic. No, we have 1.9 million recorded arrivals in 2019, and in 2022, at least we have a 99% already of that.
Wow.
And
Wow.
First quarter of 2025, meaning from January to March of 2025.
So you can actually achieve double digits this year.
Yeah, we hopefully, but we're just looking at like 15 to 20% increase. No, for the first quarter, we already recorded about 500,000, which means that's plus. No, we already have about 27% of the arrivals of last year. With tourists coming in this second quarter, because our seasonality would be like from October up to May or June yearly, no?
Yeah.
That's where tourists come. Hopefully, we get more arrivals, and if not, I'm not sure if we can double that. But looking
Uh-huh.
at the history, we double arrivals, but from like 3 or 5 years. No? So at least
Uh-huh.
we're expecting 20% increase by the end of 2025.
Yeah, and you talked about the weather
Yes,
earlier.
yes. So we're experiencing hotter weather, Miss Maribel. What climate resilience measures have been put in place for both locals and the visitors?
Well, always we are always reminding our tourists, no, in coordination also with our local government units, because that's where the real experiences are. We have coordinated with their respective DRRs and other agencies, and continuously reminding our tourists to, like, to also be responsible. No, they also have to be safe. Well, take measures also that they take a lot of water. I mean, we would constantly remind them that this weather, we experience a high heat index lately, so it really affect destinations like us. So we continue to remind our
Yes.
tourists also, plus our stakeholders, that to also remind their tourists of safety.
Miss
It's
Maribel,
non-negotiable. Safety is non-negotiable.
absolutely, I agree with you. Miss Maribel, what about ongoing initiatives to promote sustainable energy and reduce heat impacts in the tourism areas and public spaces? Meron na po kayong mga partners with the business community there regarding this?
There are a lot already of business establishments. First, I've mentioned about the SCP law. It's the Palawan Council for Sustainable Development. Before, they have this zero carbon project, and yes, and it's of stakeholders or tourism-related establishments are encouraged to engage in renewable energy, like for example, resorts and accommodation facilities. They do that, no?
Great.
And in the province, I think, especially in Puerto Princesa, particularly in area of Sabang, there is a solar field or farm that
Yes.
Yeah.
produces energy in Sabang. I know in El Nido, of course, sir, there are a lot also of tourism establishments or facilities that engage in renewable energy.
Yes, we use a lot of solar there, and di ba?
That is the way to go,
Yes.
actually, solar energy. I wanted to go back to what we were talking about a while ago, the influx of tourists coming in, especially now, summer season, no? Padami ng padami yung mga tourists na nagpupunta sa Palawan. Aside from, making sure that they get the best experience when they visit the island, do you also have efforts to educate tourists on being environmentally responsible during their stay? Kasi hindi natin maiwasan, no, Ferdy, when there are so many tourists coming in,
Yes.
nagkakaroon tayo ng problem with...
Maybe particularly the domestic market, I have to say, because, we still need to get educated with that.
Yeah, yeah.
The foreigners, normally, they're used to it. They're used to, like, putting the trash where it's supposed to be and stuff like that. But, yeah.
So, meron ba tayong efforts, Miss Maribel, being done to, remind the tourists on how to be environmentally responsible?
Well, there are local ordinances in different areas that we really have to look into our wastes. No? To be environmentally responsible, as you said. So they do practice waste segregation, and then constantly reminding them that we cannot just put trash anywhere. Get back to us.
Yun din kasi ang nagiging problem, right? In
Yes.
different
Yes.
Tourist destinations, the garbage
But
disposal.
Palawan is still super beautiful.
Yes, of course, of
Yeah.
course.
Well, it's always El Nido, because earlier Sir Fred said that he has a small business or a business in El Nido. In your place in El Nido, you have an ordinance like the single-use plastic, right? So,
Yes, madam.
even
We do.
in
We
our
practice that.
also, there's an ordinance actually of on banning the single-use plastic. So, and then more and more people would also, not only the tourists but even residents also. So imagine if we have that 1 million tourists, being responsible and putting their trash anywhere, or looking into the future of how will our environment be, considering that we are tagged as the last ecological frontier, and while we are not spare of what is happening now, we get affected by climate change also. So I think we
Yeah.
also have to be responsible individually.
Well, I can't wait to go back, Anne.
I know. Magkikita tayo dyan, Miss Maribel. Thank you so much. I wish we had more time to extend our interesting conversation. But yes, we will see you there in Palawan. Thank you so much, Maribel Buñi, Department Head from the Provincial Government of Palawan. Thank you for joining us this morning, ma'am.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Indeed, it's a beautiful day. Have a beautiful day, everyone. Good morning.